Welcome to this webisode of Triple R. Now, early this month, I took a trip to Japan. It was the first of its kind for my family for well over 20 years. And it's very important for my mom because she's finally gotten able to get a trip together with my sister who lives in London, my brother and his family who lives in Singapore, along with me as well. So the trip was important for her. And I wanted to make sure I'd be able to capture all those memories of our trip there. So I reached out to the guys in Huawei and I said, look, would you be able to spare one of your latest phones for me to bring to Japan, preferably something that has a good camera? And they delivered. They sent me the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. Let's talk a little bit about the Mate 10 and the Mate 10 Pro. Now, both the Mate 10 and the Mate 10 Pros have similarities. They both use the Kirin 970 processor, which is an AI chip. They both have 4,000 milliamperes of battery. They both have the same cameras, both front and back. Now, that much is the similarities between the two. From a physical point of view, and this is the Mate 10 Pro. I don't have the Mate 10, I'm sorry. So, the Mate 10 Pro has the fingerprint sensor in the back. And the reason why they want to do that is because they didn't want to increase the size anymore by leaving the fingerprint sensor in the front. Now, once they did that, they made the screen almost all the way to the top. So you had that tiny little gap here for the camera and the speaker, and then just a small little place at the bottom for the Huawei logo. On the Mate 10, the fingerprint sensor is still here, but the phone's wider. Now, if you ask me, I really prefer the phone to be narrower, and the Mate 10 Pro does fit the profile that I'm looking for really well. The build quality is excellent. I mean, I've seen the phone come a long way. From its early incarnations, not the Mate 10, but the early Huawei phones all the way to the P10, which was wonderfully built with a great rear surface, and now this glorious blue back surface. I mean, it does have some form of an oleophobic coating because I do find that it's quite difficult to leave my fingerprint on it. Right? And so that's one of the. So what's the difference between the Mate 10 and the Mate 10 Pro? In order to call it the Pro, one of the big differences would be internal memory. This has 6 gig of RAM. The Pro has 6 gig of RAM with 128 gig of storage, whereas the Mate 10 only has 4 and 64 gig of storage. You lose. Okay, so you lose the micro SD on the Mate 10 Pro, but that still survives on the Mate 10. With the higher memory, do I miss having the micro SD slot? It took some getting used to, but the fact is I have an OTG drive, so that kind of takes care of transferring stuff in and out, and I didn't really miss the micro SD slot. Next up, the other thing that's missing is the earphone jack. Now, on my trip, I forgot to bring the dongle with me, so I wasn't able to watch a movie with the sound on it. And because it was a red-eye flight, I wasn't about to turn on the sound and disturb passengers on the left and right. Right? So it doesn't have the dongle, but without the headphone jack, this is IP68, so it's water resistant. Next, the headphone jack, of course, is present on the Huawei Mate 10. Right, enough of the differences. Oh, wait, there's one last big difference between the two. Haha, I almost forgot that one. The Mate 10 Pro comes with an OLED display, and the Mate 10 comes with an IPS panel. Now, the OLED has better color contrast, but the IPS panel has a higher resolution. So it's a bit of what are you looking for? And because you can't have the best of both worlds, you have to decide between the two brothers. So, on to the trip. Now, I unplugged the phone at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and this was my first wow when it comes to battery life. So I unplugged the phone at 4 o'clock, finished configuring the phone in the way I wanted it, and by the time I took my first picture, it was at night. It was a picture of the open taxi area for the plane, and lo and behold, the plane isn't here. And the picture wasn't as impressive because I suppose the glass seemed a bit dirty. And I reached Tokyo at about 7 in the morning, so it's now been more than 12 hours, and I had roughly about 74% of battery left. Took some more pictures, connected to the internet, and at this stage I want to say kudos to DG because all the telcos started sending me their plans for how much it would cost me to connect in Tokyo, and DG was the only one with the plan that absolutely made sense. 3 days, 25 ringgit, 2 gig. So every 3 days you pay 25 bucks and you get 2 gig of data. None of the others even came close. So kudos to the guys in Digi. Thank you so much. I digress, but let's move on. First day, already cleared customs, had the phone on data, was tracking, went all the way to Shinjuku, couldn't check in, and I went to Akihabara. Here I decided to test the camera's actual true blue out in the daytime pictures. One of the things the Kirin 970 processor was able to do is supposed to be able to recognize objects and be able to set up the settings for them and make sure they were good. So you get the best possible picture when you take it. So aiming the phone at trees, and especially what we're talking about is yellow foliage and brown foliage, it was able to recognize the trees and had that little tree icon, and I took some beautiful pictures. The colors kind of still popped out of the screen, as you can see here. And moving along, as I was in Akihabara, I pointed the phone at a Hachinko dog, which was really cute, right? And immediately it recognized the dog, and there was a little dog icon that appeared. So I suppose it set all the thing up because the dog still looks fantastic in the pictures. One of the downside was I took a picture of an owl. It thought it was a cat. By then it was almost 4 or 5 o'clock and it started to drizzle, so I decided to beat rush hour traffic and head back to Shinjuku, walked back to the hotel. Checked in, it was like 6 o'clock, went out for dinner and came back. So I took some shots when I was out in Shinjuku at night, and these are 2 pictures that I wanted to share with you. One of the Shinjuku street and the other one of the Shinjuku highway, main road. So the first one, if you look at the colors and the lights from the restaurant that I'm taking a picture of, was absolutely spot on. There was no digital noise in the black whatsoever, and the lines could be seen really crisp and clear. I was amazed at that one. What amazed me the more was as I took a picture of the street and the following one of the hotel room, you could see all the way down to the street, everything was crystal sharp. And if you look at the one on the street, you could see the manhole and the grates on it. I mean, the lines on the manhole covers were very clearly visible, as with the stones on the street. That wasn't the biggest shocker. I've used the phone now from 4 o'clock the previous day all the way till 9 o'clock. And that's a good 29 hours, right? So 29 hours and the battery still above 30%. So that was, to me, one of the biggest shocker. And bear in mind, I was using the holy trinity of battery consumption: Wi-Fi, GPS, and data. On to the next day, and I decided to put the translator to the test. This was where it didn't exactly do too well. So I went to a bakery and wanted to buy some bread, and this was what happened. I was looking at the bread description. The translator didn't quite get it. I mean, I had no idea what it meant. There was a word child in there somewhere, so didn't want to buy the bread because I wasn't sure if there was some child inside the bread. I went to a bookstore and I opened one of those magazines, and I did a photo of a little paragraph. And this was what happened. And at this point, I decided to download Google Translate as well, just to see if it was a problem with the application of the translator that Huawei partnered with, or was it not? Now, as you can tell from both these pictures, you can make more sense with what Google Translate has taken. But I did note that when I tried the translation program, the Google Translate program on the iPhone 8 Plus that my sister had, it was still slower than the one on the Mate 10 Pro. So the AI processor in some ways must have helped, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that particular translation program that they partner with. It recognized food. I was in Tsukiji, and that also did very, very well. So these are the pictures of the sights and sounds of Japan, from Tsukiji to Shimbashi. On one of those days, I went to Disney Sea with my family, right? And I decided to really test out the camera in broad daylight. It was a beautiful sunny day, huge backlight, and the camera performed flawlessly. I had pictures here with huge sunlight in the back. Disney, with all the rides, it took one into the tunnel. It was a Aladdin ride, and going through, I was able to take pictures of some of these Aladdin animation objects, and that was one huge genie. None of the other cameras that was with me, but that my mom used or my sister or my brother was able to take the pictures quite as well as this. Testing out the portrait feature on the phone, I took a couple pictures with my mom, and if you look at it, portrait feature absolutely spot on. Unlike the Nokia and the Note 8, I wasn't able to adjust the depth of the blurring of the background, but as you can tell, it did that on its own. And when it came to the night, I took some pictures of the fireworks as well as a picture from my mom in front of the volcano. Using the camera that she brought, I wasn't able to see her face. So as you can tell here, it's really clear and sharp. The part that really amazes me and reinforced what I experienced on the first day was that at the end of it, when I got back to the hotel at 9, leaving the hotel at 6 in the morning, after taking almost 500 pictures, I still had about 17 to 18% battery life left. It really amazed me. So what do I think? Most phones have a key feature, a one super feature. I mean, Sony has their 960 frames per second, the Nokia 8 has their Bothi, the Note 8 has the stylus and the live view, and so on and so forth. But to me, there is no outstanding feature in the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. None. Because here's the part. How do you find an outstanding feature from a phone that seems to do everything really well? It's not the perfect phone, because perfection, as we all know, is a myth, but it does everything well. It takes great pictures. Phone battery lasts for a very long time. It's really fast, there is little lag, and looking at the way it survived my trip, there is no outstanding feature. It's just very good. It's so good, in fact, that I've decided to order one. Hopefully I'll get it before Christmas. Of all the phones I've tested, you can see all the videos before, this was the phone I decided to order. For the price that you pay at $3,099, it's not too expensive. So if you have any questions, pop it down below. This is my review, and I think it's been a long one, so thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe, guys. I keep videos coming. All right.